Hello, welcome to lesson 2 of Complete Python series. Today it's going to be a really fun and interesting session and full of learning. We will be learning many new topics today. Like I will tell you, I will soon be discussing with you. They are like you can say comments in Python, rules for identifiers, then keywords in Python, data types in Python, how to find the type of function in Python. These are interesting topics we will be covering today. So do watch this video from beginning until end and don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Let's move to our class. Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to the Complete Python series. All right, and this is the lesson 2 of the Complete Python course. And in this lesson, we will be covering, you can say, various topics, like you can say the rules for identifiers. Then we will be doing how to find the type of a variable. Okay, then we will be discussing about the data types in Python, and then the keywords in Python and comments in Python. All right, my dear friends. We will be covering all these topics in today's lesson. All right. And we will be writing lots of lines of code while we will be practicing. And also, my dear friends, you will be getting the notes of today's lecture in the description box, and also the code that we will be writing in the today's lecture that you will also be getting. All right, my dear friends. So now let's just begin the lesson basically. Okay. So first is the I'm going to discuss with you about the rules, basically rules to write the identifiers. All right, my dear friends. So rules for identifiers I will be discussing with you all now. Okay. So yeah, so my dear friends, just a second, I will yeah, so my dear friends, let me just discuss with you the rules for identifiers. Okay, basically whenever we are giving the name to the variable in our program, all right, my dear friends, so the variable name should be defined and that should be following specific rules. All right, my dear friends, so let me tell you what are those rules. So the first rule is identifiers can be the combination of the uppercase and the lowercase letters, digits, or an underscore. And for example, you can say that, let me just tell you about the examples. So the examples of identifier could be, you can say my, and the variable could be in uppercase letter. All right, my dear friends, this is the right identifier. Or it could be something like this, my variable. This is also a right identifier, or you can write it as my underscore. Simply, I can say variable. This is also a right example. Okay, my dear friends, I hope everything is crystal clear to you. All right, now let's just move forward, my dear friends. So these are the things you can say. This is like my variable and like that, and it can contain underscore as well. Okay, so for example, one more example, you can say that variable, let's say, is defined. This is also a valid identifier. All right, my dear friends, now let's just move forward. So the next thing comes over here is, you can say, an identifier cannot start with a digit. Um, so while variable one is valid, but one variable is not valid name. Okay. So my dear friends, we can simply say that, you can say that, let's say I am writing this name as variable one. So this name is a valid one. Okay. This will be, I can say this will be kind of the right name. Okay, and if I will write the name like this, you can say one variable. All right, my dear friends, so this name would be wrong. Okay, so this is not valid. It should not start with a number, then it will go wrong. It should always start with a character. All right, my dear friends, let's just move forward now. I hope this point is also crystal clear to you. Let's just move forward. We cannot use the special characters like exclamation hash, at the rate, percentage, or dollar in our identifier. For example, let's say I am writing the name of my identifier as, let's say it is a variable at the dollar. Or I can say that my first variable. Okay. Or I can say um, variable. I will write this name. So all these are basically the invalid names. So simply we cannot include exclamation, hash, or at the rate, or you can say that, uh, or you can say that the another one dollar. All these symbols, etc., cannot be added to the name of our identifiers. Identifiers can be of any length. Okay, so identifiers, when we declare, they can be of any length. For example, I can write it as this is the name of my variable. This is actually a single word I have written, and the name of my variable could be this much long. This is a valid one, but you can say that a good programming practice is that we should write the variable name as short and crisp as possible, and also that should signify, the name should tell what value it stores. For example, if I'm writing name, so it makes me sure that I'm storing a string value in it. If I will write the variable age, so the value of age will be stored. You can say 23 or something like that. Age 1, let's say, to be 42. So it is simply, it's the name of the variable should signifies what its function is. For example, over here it is basically to store the age of the person. So that is why we have written this name. I hope, my dear friends, till this point was crystal clear to you. So I hope you have understood the rules for like identifiers, rules for naming the variables, and you just need not to learn all these or cram all these rules. These you will be gradually learning while you will be practicing to write the code, and you will gradually learn all this. All right, let's move forward now. I hope you have understood all this clearly. So let's say now I'm going to write over here by, let's say I am writing in this program, I'm writing firstly, my name is equivalent to, let's say it is, you can say Cheshta Handa. Okay, after that I declare another variable age in which I will be storing the age to be, let's say 34, and then I will be storing the price to be, let's say 45.55. Okay, now I will be printing all these variables one by one. Let's say I will write over here name. I will then write over here as age. Then I will write over here as the price. All right. So simply this will be, returning me the values of all these variables. Okay, my dear friends. So let us see what I'm getting in my output. Yeah, so basically it is just returning me my name, Cheshta Handa. Then it would be, the age basically, that is 34, and the price is 45.5. Okay. So if I will write the function type over here, okay, so the type of name I will be returning in this case, okay, then I will write the function type over here. So it will be returning me, the type of the, let us say firstly, let's say what happens if I will write the word type over here. Let's see the results first. So in this case, I can simply say that my code has given me the output of, you can say, class string, class int, and class float. Okay, my dear friends. So in this case, what is happening is basically this type is a function that will return me the type of the variable written inside these braces. Okay, inside these braces, I have written the word name, the name of my variable. So this will simply print me the type of my variable, that is the name. So basically name is storing the string data. So that is why it is written that it belongs to the class str. All right. Then my age variable stores simply the int data. Basically this is an integer. Okay. So that is why it belongs to the class int, and the price is simply storing the, the float data, that is a point data. So that is why it belongs to the class float. I hope guys these words will be new to you, that string, float, and integer. So before this, I will be discussing basically simply you can remember for now that type is a function that simply returns the type of the data which is stored in a particular variable. Okay. So before understanding the basically, this, let's just understand about the concept of data types in Python. All right, my dear friends. So let's just move to the concept of data types. And let's just understand what are the different data types in Python. Okay. So now let's start with the topic of the my dear friends. Let's start with the topic of the data types in Python. All right. So there are majorly five types of data which can be stored in Python. First one is integer. Integer, you can say they simply store the positive values, negative values, and zeros. Okay, we can say that it simply contains, the 25, and then it contains minus 25, and then it also contains a zero. All right, my dear friends. Then there comes the string data type. Okay, so in case of string data type, we can say that it simply stores there. Let's say this is my double quotes, okay, and inside this, whatever I am writing, that will be as it is printed on the screen. Okay, let's say I will write over here. This is my string. Okay, so this will be simply printed on my screen. Okay, so to declare this string, okay, it will be printing as it is whatever is written in between, and if we can declare the string with the help of triple single quotes, okay, like this, or we can also declare it with the help of single quotes. Okay, so these are the various methods by which we can declare strings in Python. So I will be discussing few examples about it with you as well. Then there comes, my dear friends, the data type float. In float, basically, you can say that some point like values are stored like 34.55, 0.5. All the decimal values, all the fractional values in the decimal form, they are stored in the case of, you can say, float. Float simply stores all those value. Then there comes Boolean values. Booleans, simply signifies for, you can say, the true value, or you can say the false value. These are simply stored in the case of Booleans. Okay. And there is none data type. None data type simply signifies, my dear friends, that there is nothing over there. The thing is empty. That is done by the none. Okay. So let's just discuss with you. Let me just discuss with you few more examples so that you can understand it better. Okay. So let's say, firstly, let me just declare a string for you. Okay. So if I will write as, the name as, you can say this is my string. Okay. And then I will write name one as, simply you can say that in single quotes I will write string 2 it is. Okay, and then in my name 3, name 2, this is my another variable I have declared. Okay, so in name 2 I will write in the single triple quotes, I will write that he got a job. Okay, he got a job, or you can say he went outside. He went outside. Okay, so basically all these will be, the same, the strings will be the string will be stored in it. Okay, so let me just write over here print name, then let me write over here print name one. My dear friends, let me just discuss few examples with you. So for example, there is a name, and let's say this is, I've written this is my string. Okay, then there is a name one named variable. Let's say I will write here this is my string, let's say 2. Then I will write name 2 variable over here, and I will write over here this is my string 3. Let's say I will write over here string 3, and basically I will write this whole thing not in double quotes. I will write this whole thing in, in the above case also, I will write this thing in the single quotes, okay? To show that how strings can be declared in various different ways, and I will write this in the triple quotes, okay? Now, let me just print this data now, okay? So this will be name. Then in my other case, it will be name one. Then in the third case, it will be simply, you can say, name 2. Okay, my dear friends, so let me just run this code to show you that three of these will be working, and that is how we can say that we can declare strings by double quotes, by single quotes, or by triple single quotes. These are the different ways to declare a string in Python. All right, So now, my dear friends, let me just discuss with you few more examples. You can say that, let's say A is storing simply a true value, and let's say the B is storing, you can say 12, that is integer value. C is storing, you can say 34.65, 67, that is, you can say float value. D is storing a none value, and E is storing a simply a, you can say, a string value. All right. So now I'm going to print this one by one. So it will be, you can say, print A, then I will write over here print B, then I will write over here print C, then I will write print simply I will write print D, and then I will be printing E. Okay. So if I will run all this, my all the different data types will be printed in one by one. Okay, first is 34. Okay, in the first you can say that, let me just show it to you. So over here I am getting the outputs as, wait, so none I am getting at first. So I have done print. Let me just save it and rerun this code. Yeah, so in this case, you can say the simple data that I am getting is first is true, then I am getting 12, then 34.67, then none, and then string. All these, you can say my variables are getting printed. All right. Now, my dear friends, let me just write the type function over here so that I can get to know what is the type of a particular variable. Okay, so I am writing a type function. Okay, so it will go like this. Then I will write a type function over here as well. It will go like this. Okay, my dear friends. So now let me just show this to you that how this simply works. Okay, so if I will write over here just a second, it will be type of E. Okay, so let me just run it, my dear friends. So in this case, simply I can say that, yeah. So my first variable is, you can say, true value, that is simply belonging to the type bool, that is boolean. The second is basically, you can say, integer, and that belongs to the class int. And then third belongs to the float, that belongs to the class float. And the fifth one is of, it returns nothing. So that means it belongs to the class none type. And the fifth one is my string, that simply returns me the string. So that is how, like my dear friends, we can, find the type of the variable. And now we have successfully learned about various data types in Python as well. Now let's just move forward. Now, my dear friends, let me just discuss with you about the keywords in Python. Okay. So, like you all might have read the dictionary. Okay. So, there are few words in the dictionary which you can say that in the dictionary there are few words which have their predefined meanings. Okay, my dear friends. They have predefined meanings and their meanings cannot be changed, and they are kind of, universal kind of things. We cannot simply change them. Okay, so similarly, there are few words in Python which you can say are the reserved words. That means we cannot use those words to write the name of the variable, name of the function, or to use somewhere else. Okay, my dear friends, basically they are simply, written while we will be coding. They are, the predefined words or the predefined functions in Python. Okay, so let me tell you, there are basically a lot of, you can say, the predefined words in Python. For example, this else, and these are all the words which are predefined in Python, okay? And we cannot use them to simply write the name of a function. For example, if I will declare a variable with the word try is equals to 23, so this will give me an error because try is a reserved word in Python, and we cannot use this while declaring a variable or writing the name of the function. Basically, we cannot use it anywhere with our, need. We will use it only because we will use only when we need a specific function related to this. For example, these all words have a specific function. For example, this true will always return with a true value. Then this none will simply stand for there is nothing. These or not are used to perform the logical operations that we will be studying further. This if and else, I can say, are the parts of the loop. Then you can say this true and false are basically the values. Then you can say this for is simply you can say is used to declare the for loop. Okay. And then there will be you can say the break. Okay, this break is simply used to you can say that the if I have written the lines of code and if I want to break the logic, okay, so that will simply break it. Okay, then there is a while loop which is declared with the word while, and few lines of code will be written, and then we can declare our code. Yeah, so let me just tell you, my dear friends, that you can say this pass, then you can say is, except, as. These cannot be used as common the name of variables or the name of function. Class is generally used when we are declaring classes in Python. When we will be learning about classes in Python, then I will be telling you where to use this keyword. So, in a nutshell, I can say that these are the reserved word in Python and we cannot use them simply anywhere. Okay. Now, my dear friends, let me just tell you one more thing, that you can say that Python is a simply you can say case sensitive language. Okay. That means if I will write a word Alma in Python like this, and if I will write a word Alma in Python like this, these two are completely different. Okay, we cannot say that these are the same, so that simply proves that Python is a case sensitive language. Okay, so there are some languages in computer that are simply you can say that they are in those languages small a and capital A has same meaning. They read it as the same, or you can say this word Alma. It's the same, can be, it could be written as this. It does not make the difference on the basis of the lower or uppercase letter. But there are some, you can say, um, there are some languages like Python. So Python is a case sensitive language. In it, the small case letters and the uppercase letters have complete different meaning. So I hope, my dear friend, this was also crystal clear to you. Now let's just move forward to the next topic. So now, my dear friends, we are going to learn about comments in Python. So let me just tell you what are the comments. So my dear friends, let me tell you about the what are the comments in Python. Okay. So comments are simply you can say we write them during the code so that the code will become more readable and understood by the coders, or you can say engineers. Okay, so whenever we get review through the code, or if we want to find the bugs in the code, if we will be written there will be written some comments in my code, like you can say that from this part the Java part begins, and from this the module 2 begins, the module 1 begins. Okay, you might have found this thing written in generally the very much thousand lines of codes. The need of comments is there because we want to organize our code and make it more understood by the reader, so the reader can understand from which part of the code the different things are getting started. Okay, so basically, they are not displayed when we will run this program. They are not never displayed in my, output. They are just simply for the code reader to understand and make the required changes. Okay. So if I want to write a single line comment, that is simply written by hash. It is simply you can say single line comment. Okay, and if I want to write you can say multi-line comment, in that case I will simply write it by triple quotes like this. Okay, my dear friends, I hope this is also crystal clear to you. And to write the comments in multiple lines, I will use this triple quotes notation, and let me just give you a few examples so that you can understand it better. All right, my dear friends, so let me just tell you about you can say comment. Okay, so let me just write over here hash with a hash. This is a comment. All right. Let me just run my program. It will definitely not appear in my output, which simply shows that it is my single line comment. All right. Now let me just tell you about the multi-line comments. Okay. So inside this triple quotes, I'm going to write, this is my multi-line comment. Okay, my dear friends. So this is I have written. Now let me just run my code. It simply again did not appear in the output. And that is how, my dear friends, I have declared a multi-line comment. All right. I hope you have understood this as well. Now, my dear friends, let's just move forward and let me just tell you about the concept of, you can say, how we can print a sum in Python. Okay. So let me just tell you about that first. Okay. So if you want to print the, like I'm going to make a small program, so how we can print a sum in Python, okay? And you will be making your first program ever in Python, okay? So let's say I have written a is equal to 5 over here, and then b is equal to 6 over here. Then I will write a variable named sum, and I will write in that a plus b, okay, my dear friends? And then I will be, simply I can print the sum in that case, okay? So then let me just write down the program over here, and I will name the program as, you can say, sum1 dot py. Okay. And let me just write my variable a is equal to 3 over here. And then I will write b is equal to 7 over here. And I will declare a variable sum that is simply equivalent to a plus b. All right, my other friend. And then I will be printing the statement that is, you can say, print sum. And if I will run this code, I will show you how it goes. It will be simply returning me the output as the, you can say, 10. Okay, so that is how we have written a very fast program to print the sum in Python. Now, my dear friends, if we want to find out the difference, okay, I will simply, let's say, write over here that b minus a, okay, and then I will be printing my difference value. Okay, so let me just run this code and let's see what I'm getting in the output. So clearly you can say that I am getting 4 in my output. So I hope, my dear friends, this program was also crystal clear to you that how we can find the sum and difference in Python. So with this, my dear friends, we move to the end of our class today. Okay, and I will be providing you the notes of this today's class and the topics. We covered a lot of topics today. Let me just give you a quick review. Okay, so the topics we covered were, like, you can say, the rules for identifiers. Then we discussed about the keywords in Python. Then we also discussed about, you can say, the uh, then we discussed about keywords in Python, and then we did data types in Python. Okay, and then we also did you can say that comments in Python. Okay, and then we discussed about some, how we can find sum and difference in Python. And after that, we did, I hope we have done all this. Okay. And anything else which is left that I have not written over here? I think so that we have covered all the things so far. So let me just tell you, keywords I have done. Then you can say that data types also I have written. Yeah. So this moves us to the end of this today's module. All right, my dear friends, let's just meet in my next lecture 3 in the Python series, where I will be getting, lot more new concepts, like, you can say, operators we will be discussing and more. Okay, so till then, friends, if you have written your first lines of code, or you can say first small program to add two numbers or to find the difference of two numbers successfully, then do comment in the comment section that yes, this video was really helpful to all of you. And my dear friends, also don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this video, and subscribe to my channel as well. Stay tuned for more videos, and let's just do this complete Python course. Let's just make it a very, uh, you know, uh, best course on YouTube. Thanks for watching. See you next. See you tomorrow.